Hi, this is Chris Oberg, and we're going to give you a summary from San Antonio. Enno's behind the camera from Southeastern California Conference. Tonight, we're in the Alamo Dome as Elder Wilson is concluding our first day of business. But the day began with the sun rising high over San Antonio and the news reporter telling us this is the day we welcome the Adventists to San Antonio. They tell us this is the largest and longest convention that the city has ever hosted. It is 65 million Adventists by the weekend who will be here for a 10-day stretch of time. So it's a huge task for the city. This morning when we were welcomed by someone from the mayor's office, we heard her say, for 7 years we've been waiting for this convention. In fact, just yesterday, the sidewalk opened connecting the convention center and the Alamo Dome. So here we are, summary from San Antonio today. Business began here in the Alamo Dome, being chaired with our Vice President Lowell Cooper. By 9:53 this morning, we were in session. The first challenge was the voting devices, and we learned it took a few hours to realize that maybe it was the Wi-Fi that couldn't handle the voting devices. They worked on that all day. They're feeling a little more confident tonight that by tomorrow the electronic voting devices will be ready to go. So, after this morning, with the trouble with the voting devices, we began work on the agenda, voting the agenda, and the rules of order. The rules of order were called to question quite quickly. This is interesting to those of us at home watching in, those of us who feel like we don't have a lot of power over a GC session. The rules of order call for a majority vote when we're passing motions. Someone today asked if we ought not make it a 2/3 majority vote when we're voting on doctrines next week. Because Monday, Tuesday, we have several changes to the fundamental beliefs. Many of the delegates believe that's such a significant change, we should have a 2/3 majority vote. So that idea has been referred back to the steering committee. We hope to hear tomorrow some kind of response to that request. We looked at a covenant from the General Conference this morning asking us to have Christ-like and a humble spirit. And all the delegates stood and voted together and prayed together and agreed we would conduct ourselves in a Christ-like manner. The General Conference officers have all covenanted to do the same thing. We were reminded of Church Manual, page 110. 110. What's important about that page? That's an admonition that any delegate who comes to session always votes their own conscience. They cannot be coerced or threatened to vote under any other power or authority. By the time we were getting close to lunch, we saw the video that had been prepared. It's titled, What Could Have Been. We were reminded about the 1901 General Conference session and an appeal that our only allegiance be to God. We took a quick lunch break. It's a walk. It's a hike back over to the convention center if you're eating over there. Some of the delegates are eating right here in this building. But by 2 o'clock, we all had to be with our divisions to do our caucus. That division caucus is very important because we all gather to make recommendations for the nominating committee. That's a committee most everyone is interested in. 252 people. In fact, tonight, they've already gone to work down in the lower level here of the Alamo Dome. You would like to know, back home in Southeastern, that the North American Division sends 24 people to that nominating committee. Of the 24, 3 of them are from the Pacific Union. Ramiro Cano from Central California, Randy Roberts from Southeastern California, and our union president, Ricardo Graham. That team stays and does their work late into the night, and they'll actually be working for several days. They return the names to us of all the officers. When we came back this afternoon and voted the names of the nominating committee, it got interesting when someone stood and said, I'd like to know how many young delegates are on that list. How many under the age of 30? Someone else asked, yes, and how many women? There was applause as they went through the list of the names and found that, in fact, it's less women and less younger people than what is representative of the delegation. Even so, we voted to go ahead and send those names on to the nominating committee. It took until 4:53 this afternoon until there was hearty laughter in the Aladome. The whole place erupted in laughter when one delegate from the Trans-European Division, an older gentleman, went to the microphone and said, "You are discriminating against the aging ones. We cannot read what's on the screen. You must take better care of us. And so they enlarged the font. He grumbled about a few other things, but point well taken. The spectrum in terms of age and diversity and background of the delegates here, it's beyond our imagination when we have our own small churches in mind. Tonight, as the sun is now setting, Elder Wilson is finishing with the group with his opening sermon, challenging everyone to imagine like the Israelites stepping over the River Jordan. I know this delegation is not only ready to go to sleep, but they're very eager for tomorrow. We invite everyone back home in Southeastern to be praying, to be praying, to be praying. And until tomorrow, when we'll have something more from San Antonio, we say goodnight.